Okay, Dan, as you know, we are doing a follow-up to some of the issues that were raised by your opponent. Um, in his interview, we're giving you a chance to respond. And let's start with one that's got a lot of prominence. The 2.5 million in RDA monies that your opponent claims was supposed to be for fixing streets and curb cuts and drainage ditches, and that you and the rest of Grass Valley City Council actually moved it into funding for the Dorsey Drive interchange, and that was to primarily benefit a private developer, Loma Rica. Is that Loma Rica Ranch, or a private developer? And we'll leave it at that. And how do you respond to that?
Well, I'm not sure how many times we have to cross this bridge with Mr. Lampier, but it was actually $4.6 million of RDA money that was part of a 2008 $6 million bond. The bond itself has a 20% requirement that it be used for low-income housing, which we have used low-income housing project along Dorsey Drive, the apartments up there. The 4.6 or redevelopment money is for infrastructure. Infrastructure can be a number of things. It could be curb, gutters, sidewalks, streets, handicap access projects, bridges, interchanges. It's all infrastructure. So what the City Council had to do was make a decision along with the Nevada County Transportation Commission. Okay, we have this opportunity to fund Dorsey Drive using RDA monies. Now the governor's going to eliminate redevelopment agencies. Is he going to take it all, or is he just going to take a part? No one knew. State Department of Finance didn't know. State Controller's Office didn't know. Our county controller didn't know. Fortunately, we had a finance director at the time, Roberta Raper, and our city administrator, Dan Holler, were very well versed on how you can use redevelopment money. So we went to the Transportation Commission, which I was a member of at the time, said what we can do is we can do 4.6 million from RDA money. We can then use gas tax, CMAQ, and other funds from the Transportation Commission, and that will then prod or move the state. They will then give us 10 million. The project would be considered complete. We can do it. We made the decision, not knowing what the state was going to do, to go ahead and earmark that 4.6 million to complete a project that we have been trying to complete for 40 years. And next to the new Highway 20 route between Grass Valley and Penn Valley, this is the most important transportation project in Western Nevada County we've seen in years. So we did it. We made the decision. And as it turned out later on, the governor was not able to touch our bond money. And so the bond money could have been used in other areas. However, at the time, in the best guess that we had as to what he was going to do, this is the decision we made. And at no time, trust me, at no time did Supervisor Lampier ever contact me or city staff or anyone else involved in the project as to more information why, explanations why, is this illegal, what is this? He didn't start this until after I had announced my candidacy for his seat. Mm-hmm. So he's supposed to be engaged with us. He's supposed to understand what we're trying to do, and he did not. And now he's criticizing us and saying we were evasive and we duped the public. We duped no one. This was all done in full public view, and if Mr. Lampier would have been engaged, he would have seen it. But he was not. The other part is that when the Dorsey interchange was first proposed, it was simply quicker access to the hospital. This is going to make sense for the community as a whole. But as we grew and we realized that we had congestion down in the Glenbrook Basin, we had congestion down at the roundabout that wasn't built yet. Sierra College Drive was built. Now we have a college sitting up on the hill, businesses along Sierra College, and then the congestion out of the high school. The interchange became vitally important for our circulation. Hospital was still a concern, but it was a concern that was now bunched with other concerns. We needed to get people out of where they were onto a freeway and off the surface streets. And the other thing this has done for people who are concerned about this, it shortened travel time. And it shortened the time that people had to sit in backed up, it's going to shorten the time that people have to sit in backed up traffic along Main Street and down in Glenbrook, which is going to lower our carbon footprint. So environmentally, Dorsey Drive is a great deal for the community as a whole. As far as the developer, I have never met the developer. We knew that sometime along the way that property was going to be developed, and it makes sense. Okay, there's an interchange there. My gosh, I've got 26 acres. I'm going to try and get a return on my investment. So the city is obligated now by state law to process that paperwork. We don't know what's going to be there. They did show us pads for fast food restaurant. We said no. The design review committee said no fast food restaurants. We want this, if you're going to do something, it's going to be unique. It's going to be something that the entire community is proud of, and something that will not harm local businesses. And again, I'm a local businessman. I'm certainly not going to do anything to hurt downtown Grass Valley, which is the heart and soul of our of the Grass Valley community. So Mr. Lampier can attack my integrity. He can attack the city council as much as he wants, but it's a council decision. I, as a member of the council, fully supported it. I have talked to other council members who I have served with and asked them, if you had the opportunity to fund Dorsey Drive interchange with redevelopment money, would you have done it? And they said, you bet I would have. And so he's attacking former mayors and former city council individuals. He's attacking the Nevada County Transportation Commission and their members, because when they realized that this is going to get done, everyone jumped on board because this is good for our community. So hopefully this isn't going to keep popping up, and hopefully this explanation is good for people, because people need an honest explanation, and that is the honest truth on how this all came about. Now, as far as using money that should have been used for handicap access on our streets, we use gas tax money for that. We use grants for that, and we use other transportation funds for that. And the practice is you don't use redevelopment money for that type of a project. We have a program in place that we're implementing for handicapped people. My sister's been in a wheelchair since she was 16 years old from a traffic accident. I am incredibly sensitive to the needs of the handicapped in our community. And so when I see something going in that's being done to aid them, it feels like it's touching my heart, because my sister's going to benefit. And so I don't know what else to say, except that we do things in a very logical, common sense manner, and we look for explanations, and we look for our staff to give us good information. And I believe that if Mr. Lampier would have done the same thing, he would have seen this as a good project also.
Okay. Another issue that has been raised by your opponent is a lawsuit by the City of Grass Valley against the Airport Commission. He claims that you are using taxpayer money to sue the Airport Commission on behalf of a private developer for a development that's going in near the airport, and that you, in this case, were somehow backroom deal with a private developer.
City doesn't do backroom deals. Highly illegal and unethical. It was a lawsuit that was entered into because the Airport Land Use Commission had commissioned a report that changed these what they called safety zones coming off for flight paths, and we had the specific plan already in place, and accepted not only by the city of Grass Valley, but also the Airport Land Use Commission and the Nevada County Transportation Commission. Now they came back with a report saying, no, you can't have the number of residential units up there because now we have to adjust the safety zones. It would have killed the project up at the airport, which to us was important because we were going to have the ability to run sewer up to that portion of the project and then have the possibility of extending that sewer out to the Loma Rica Industrial Park, which have really have benefited more job creation up there with the businesses who are all on septic. So it was a little piece of the puzzle that was important to the city of Grass Valley. And in order for us to have relief or some type of redrawing of the safety zones, the city had to enter into a lawsuit. I think could have been solved if we just sat down and used some common sense, but we ended up having to do a lawsuit. It was whether the developer paid for it or the city of Grass Valley paid for it, I'm going to have to get back to you and let you know specifically. But when all was said and done, we still had the number of units. The Airport Land Use Commission was happy, the city and the developer were happy, but for us to use public funds to defend a developer, we have never done that, never will do that. So there had to have been a reimbursement schedule from the Loma Rica Ranch or the Getty Trust on that. But I will get that information back to you.
Okay, so we have one more issue raised by your opponent regarding vacant land that was purchased by the Redevelopment Authority. So he claims that there was property owners are losing money on that 10 cents to the dollar on the value of their land.
I'm not quite sure what he's meaning. The redevelopment agency, as part of the South Auburn Street Grass Valley redevelopment plan, we purchased one vacant piece of property that is adjacent to the Holiday Inn Express. We purchased the old tribal weaver building on Neal Street, and then we purchased a piece of property on North Auburn and Richardson Street that is being used as a permit parking for downtown businesses. We did that. The property owners were paid exactly what the property was worth, but now that redevelopment was eliminated, those properties have to be sold back, and the proceeds of those distributed amongst the different agencies in Nevada County, such as NID, Superintendent of Schools, Nevada Union Joint High School District. Grass Valley is one of them also. So the proceeds from the sale of those properties will go back to those agencies. Very inexpensive. And certainly there's not a lot of money to be had, but that's what happened on those as part of the governor's clawing back of redevelopment funds. And again, it's one of these issues that I'm dealing with a guy who's bitter and a grudge because he used to be a planning commissioner and he got fired from that position, and a person who has run for city council several times and the voters have not elected him to their city council, and it's unfortunate that it has to come to this, but that's the type of person that will use these issues, which were done in total transparency and in public meetings, to try and attack the integrity of not only myself but the city council and city staff and past city councils.